Welcome to Take It from the Iron Woman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Iron Woman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Iron Woman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. Take It from the Iron Woman. We only have special guests, and today we speak to my friend Mandeep. He is the super fast runner. I remember one time he says, "Let's run together." And then I had to say, "Mandeep, you have to go. You're too fast for me. You're running like a gazelle." Welcome to the podcast and introduce yourself. Who's Mandeep? Who's going to join us today?
Thank you. Thanks, Susan. Yeah, as you said, I live in New York with my wife, and our kids have grown and gone away. But I came to America as a 19-year-old, almost 20, in 1982. And my life basically started like a struggle like anybody else. I worked in supermarkets. I did flea markets. I did 2 jobs. I did a job as a porter in a supermarket, and then took a little training, a tax training, learning how to do taxes. And from there, I worked with H&R Block for 9 years, and I decided to go on my own. And I bought one Jackson Youth franchise. In about 8 to 10 years, I built a business of 95 plus stores with 800 employees and over 75,000. Along the way, the work kind of started burning me out. And I think I always was looking for, and a friend of mine introduced me to tennis. And he said, "Listen, let's go to play tennis one day." Went to play tennis in the club near where I live in Chappaqua. And I was hitting the balls real hard. And he was like, "You're a natural player. You're a natural athlete, and your forehand is so strong. Your backhand is amazing. And, you should play this." I said, "Well, okay." He started coming and playing with me like for a week or 10 days. And one day he didn't show up. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I can't play tennis by myself. Since this was a club, I went to on a treadmill, and I started running, and I loved the treadmill so much that I never got off it. And that was my start of my running. And so my running started somewhere around 2002, 2003. And my first marathon was around 2005, I think. And I ran like a 4:21. And then everybody started talking about Boston, Boston, Boston. And I'm like, I have to qualify for it. And I have a strength training person who trains me. And he kept on saying, "Listen, Mandeep, if you want to qualify for Boston, I don't think you're going to be able to do it in New York. New York is very, very tough." And I said, "Mike, if I am going to qualify for Boston, I'm only going to do it in New York, nowhere else." And that's what happened. And I slowly started getting faster. And I got some coaching from Shelly, and that kind of helped me a lot. And I think in 2009, I ran New York City. As I get faster, at New York City Marathon, I ran in 2009, and I ran from 4:21. And in 2005 to 2009 or 2010, from 4:21, I went down to 3:22. And that was
amazing.
that was the year I qualified for Boston. And for the first year that I qualified for Boston, I pretty much qualified for Boston every year after that till I took a little break. But along the way, then the following year, I ran Boston, which I ran, I think, in 3:21. And the best part was I came back that year and I ran New York, and I ran New York in 3:11:06. That was like my best ever. And then the following year, something happened, and I went back to running like a 3:24. But then the following year, I joined my coach, Alim Kase, again, and I started training with him, and I ended up running a 3:13 coming back. And along the way, I started running. I ran some halves, which were, as first half, I had run like 155 or something, but I ran a few, maybe 5 or 6 halves, which were 130. And yeah, and now I took a little break for 4 years, but I started running again, and I went to run Berlin 2018, which I ran in a 3:32 on 45 days training. And then the following year I came back and I was training for Philadelphia, but Philadelphia was very cold that year. So I decided to run half marathon instead of running a full. And I ran, that was my last race. And I ran Philadelphia half in 135. And I came in top 10 in my age group. So, and I'm running now because my running is suffering a little bit because I had COVID. I want to slowly get back to where I was. I don't think I ever will because I'm getting close to 60. But you know what? I rather run because running gives me an outlet and enjoy running so much. I don't care about races anymore. I just want to enjoy running.
That's amazing. Let's unpack a little bit. I mean, running for the listeners, 421 marathon is pretty fast already. And then to go back and run 311.06. This is a lot of work. But you also said you're working a lot and the running has helped you. Tell us a little bit about the highlights. And, you know, you and I both, we came to the US. Welcome to this country. And it's hard work, right? Tell us a little bit about the highlights and the lowlights. Maybe tell us where you come from.
I was born in India, and most of my life I lived in Delhi. And so I was born and grew up in India, and I was 19 years old when I came here. When I first came here, it was Reaganomics, and Ronald Reagan was president. There hardly were any jobs, and there were no jobs. We started working in a supermarket as a stock clerk, me and my brother. And then after that, making $3.35 an hour, you know. And so after that, and we used to take a 2-hour bus ride. We used to live in the Bronx near Gunner Road. We used to take 2-hour bus ride to go work for 8 hours and 2 hours back. So that was our story, but we enjoyed it. We had so much fun. I remember some days on a Saturday, the bus used to leave early, and I used to, one of our co-fellows used to drop us at the Metro North train station. But the Metro North train station was the train was at Mount Vernon because we didn't have money to pay for go all the way to Grand Central and then take a train back. So what I would do, I would get off at Mount Vernon and I would walk from Mount Vernon to Yonkers Raceway, which was 2.5 miles. But along the way, I would start as a Chinese shop. I would get like a small quart of chicken fried rice and chopsticks and just eat and enjoy and walk. That was like so much fun. Just like those little things. I mean, life was so wonderful. Just to have a slice of pizza and Coke, it was like a reward for a hard day's work. Yeah. And as we move forward, I mean, but it was hard for us first because we came in, we stayed, and we got an apartment, but we didn't have money for furniture. But we were able to buy a bed. Our parents used to sleep on the bed. And me and my brother, we used to sleep on the floor for first few times. The first few days, we slept on newspapers on the floor. And then we made a big jump and we got a carpet. Carpet was a luxury for us. It was like that for months. And so all along the way, we never felt sorry. We felt it was part of what was supposed to happen. Yeah. No complaints. And that's what I think built. And on people, Saturdays and Sundays are easy days. My parents used to do flea markets. So this is after we finished the supermarkets. We used to do flea markets. And Sunday is a good day, easy day for us. For most of the people, for it was the hardest day. We used to wake up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, load up our van. We used to go to Yonkers Flea Market. We used to go to the flea market, set it up by 7 o'clock, sit there all day. In summer, it used to be a day like this, 100 degrees, 95 degrees. Winters, it was cold, raining, snow. We're always there.
What were you selling in the flea markets?
Well, we send Indian clothes and handicrafts. Like in every Indian, you have your traditional Indian clothes and we would sell that, right? Mm-hmm. But it was, so even there, just to go buy Philadelphia cheese steak sandwich and eating, that was like a big prize. We didn't care about working hard and all that going through the torture, but we were looking forward to going and having a Philly cheesesteak sandwich because that was like a highlight. It was like a reward. Those things, we were not thinking back then how it was building our DNA and our character of hard work and never give up, which became very helpful later on in our life. People talk about low points, right? I really never had, even in the worst times, I never felt like I had a low point. When I first started my own business, Jax knew it. There were sometimes I didn't have money to pay payroll. So I would like not have enough people because I couldn't hire them. There were sometimes for 3 days, I had for my first store I opened in Yankee Stadium. I didn't have money to pay people. I would just work all night in the basement and I would sleep. I would just put 3 chairs together and I would sleep on those 3 chairs and for 2-3 hours and then start working because I would print checks and print tax returns for people because I have an accounting business. And sometimes I didn't go home for 72 hours. One time a client came in and everybody used to call me, everybody calls me now too. They call me as Singh, which is my middle name. You know, a lot of Indian Sikhs are known as Singhs.
Mm-hmm.
She was Singh. And she was the client who had come like 2 days before to get her taxes done. And she walks in, she goes, Singh, did he go home? I said, from when? She goes, I was here day before yesterday. I said, no. She's like, you need to go home. I said, how do you know? She goes, you got still the same clothes on from 2 days ago, and you need to go home. I said, okay, Julia, I will go after her. It's done. She goes, no, you have enough people working here now in the daytime. And if you want, I'll stay here. You need to go home, take a shower, and rest and come back. And I'll wait here and I'll stay here for you. So those are the things I said, so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know, low point. I think the only low point was that at one point we had an employee who was disgruntled and they didn't get the position as a supervisor that they wanted,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody else got it. And they basically stole some of our trade secrets and they sued us, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the end, the lawsuit, nothing really happened with it, but it was a huge class action. They put my picture in the newspaper that me and my wife were scamming people. But when the lawsuit finished, nothing technically really considered what it was. Nothing ever, hardly anything happened considered to. They wanted like $200 million or something, and nothing like that even happened.
Wow.
But my wife got so disillusioned. She's like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. And to me, because she is always my motivation and my side person, and she's always, you know, having her around me is the biggest thrill for me. We worked together for 20 years. And when she said, I don't want to do it, basically took the whole fun out of the thing. We still have about 25 stores, but that was the only low point. But I still enjoy being with people, interacting with people. It's so rewarding. Yeah. It's so much fun. People are so much fun. You know, I mean, there are no bad people, Susan. There are no bad people.
It depends how you look at it, right? And some people like to complain, and we always say, if you complain a lot, you become better at complaining. But if you look at low points, and I mean, a lawsuit is no fun, I'm sure, to go through and to get out on the other end. If you are positive, more positive things will come your way, and also good people are coming your way.
Yeah, I mean, it was a learning experience. Our life, I mean, I learned so much from it. In general, I think our life got, especially me, I think everything half full. My life is all about half full. In our religious, I'm a Sikh, and in Gurmukhi, which is in our Sikh scripture, there's one line that comes, Bota kaye, bota hoy. If you say you have a lot, you will have a lot. And this was written over 300 years ago. It's one of the line in our prayers that comes. It's like basically a thing, complaining is not good. If you say you have a lot, you will always have a lot. God will give you a lot, you know? So positive outlook, I think, is what got me, and the hard work.
I think if you look at many entrepreneurs, right? So, or immigrants, even maybe we have to start there. Immigrants come to the US, you have a dream and you work very hard. Otherwise, you don't make it. If you don't want to work hard, I think that's the key to success, hard work.
Hard work and longevity. People don't realize, you know, how much longevity means. You know, is that Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hour rule. Mm-hmm. You can do something with 10,000 hours, you will become perfect. I learned that later on. It's a very apt thing to say. You know, I mean, if you have longevity, immigrants will always work hard, right? Because they have the DNA, because they come with little, and America has so much to give. It's such an amazing country, such a wonderful system, you know? Yeah, we have our shortcomings and fallacies. On whole, which other country you can go to and people will welcome you with open arms and give you all these opportunities? I've been to France. I've traveled Europe a lot. We've been to England a lot. I have a lot of family there. And I see how people are still in a lot of ways segregated, right? Minorities have their own places. And America, you can walk in any place. You have everything is open for anyone. If you want to work hard and get wherever you want to, you know, we might have some problems, but who doesn't?
There's problems everywhere. But if you have your methodology, your mantra, like I have a lot and I will have a lot, then I think life is so much easier. Yeah, I think this is just a good outlook on life in general.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Yeah. Hard work is the key though, right?
Thank you so much, Mandeep. What a life story. If you have a lot, you will always have a lot. Let's think that way. If you have a lot, you will always have a lot. Thank you so much. Take it from the Iron Woman. We have episodes every Monday, every Wednesday. Chime in. There's something for everybody. Running, entrepreneurship, cool people from around the world. Thank you so much for listening.